Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Bold, Make Waves podcast, a show bringing you inspiring stories of women who are growing and scaling their business. I'm your host, Laura Comark, a website and tech integration specialist who works with online business owners who love their work and not their website. Join me as we have incredible conversations about business, mindset, productivity, and of course, the website and tech behind the business. Let's go ahead and dive in to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to today's show. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Laura Comark. I'm a website and tech integration specialist who works with women who love their work, but not their website. I'm so excited to introduce my guest today, Meg Clarke, the owner and founder of Clapping Dog Media, aka your new SEO best friend. Meg is a master at growing organic traffic and has spent years learning everything she can about how exactly Google works. Now she combines all of that data, experience, to help you turn your website visitors into raving fans that actually stick around. For all of the businesses, both big and small, who do good work for people, Meg is here for you. She'll give you the megaphone you need to make sure your voice is heard. Meg, thank you so much for being on the show today. Can you tell our listeners just a little more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's just so fun to have an hour just to chat with you. So yeah, I'm Meg Clarke. I live in Northern Virginia. We live in a suburb of DC. I'm a mom to 3 boys and a goldendoodle, who is our mascot for Clapping Dog Media. And, I started, a million years ago. I was a web designer in my first career. And then in 2010, 12-ish, I transitioned home because we started a family and I had kids. And I started just freelancing, right? I started working for other women who had transitioned home and did web design for them. And it took me like 3 sites to realize that I needed that whole team that I had at my marketing agency when I was working out of the house to help promote the site and to do all the things that, I was just so naive that I thought just a good design and a good service would just bring in all of the people. And so I got into SEO then and started understanding analytics and user interface and why people do what they do. And I've been doing SEO ever since.
I love that so much. I find SEO very overwhelming. And I had a client who was very concerned with her SEO when we were getting ready to launch her new site, or when we weren't ready to launch it. We were getting ready to build the new site. Mm-hmm. And I reached out in a group of colleagues and said, I need an SEO expert. And Meg was the name that came up. And so I gave that client your information. And then we've been working together with that client now for a number of years.
Yeah, several years. She's just old school now.
And it's just been amazing for me because, I build websites, but I do very minimal with anything SEO. Because it's a whole nother beast, in my opinion. It's completely separate from the skill set I have. And that's why I appreciate so much what you do and what you bring to the space, because there's a lot that goes into it. I would love to know, can you tell us a little bit about when someone is building their website? What are the 3 most important things you would say that they need to focus on with SEO?
Sure. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit more. I think we'll come around the corner and we'll get there and explain a little bit about what search is and how Google thinks about search, because it's all related to user interface and design. And so from Google's perspective, they define search as when trillions and trillions of people are searching on Google in hundreds of different languages, and they all expect an answer in less than a second. And so from Google's perspective, they are constantly reading and understanding all of the search queries, while at the same time scanning the internet to figure out what a good web page is to match every search query. And so that's what search is. And so from an SEO perspective, our job is to make it as easy as possible for Google to understand who you are and how you want to be found. But from a user usability and website perspective, the idea is Can the site be fast? Is it easy to download? Is it easy to crawl? Are the headlines set up so that Google can quickly scan and skim your site and see what your site is all about? So what the most important thing from an SEO when you're building a new site is have a site that's fast, that's easy to navigate, that doesn't take 5 or 6 clicks to get to any one page. So having a smart taxonomy or structure to the site is really, really important. Like the architecture of the site has to be there or Google can't easily crawl it. So easy to navigate, strong structure, and fast are the things that are the backbone to having a well-found site.
I love that. I find that one of the biggest things with site speed that I have found with clients is a lot of that is based on their hosting. Now, there's other things that contribute to site speed, but my mind is blown constantly when I move clients from not the best hosting that kind of you get what you pay for, it's the cheaper, the starter hosting, and move them to like Flywheel or WP Engine. And their site speed just shoots through the roof. And all I did was move them. That's it.
That's right. And that's 1,000% right. We experience the same thing. And so when we get the technical stack, if you will, from our clients, and we're like, oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pay more than $12 a month for hosting because there's so many sites on your server. You really need to get a better host that's more expensive. But it makes a really significant difference in all kinds of things. I mean, it's not just SEO, it's just usability. It's safer, it's more secure, and then it helps with your SEO. So it's these foundational things, like kind of side note, we really only work with clients who have a well-made site. So it's like, if they come to us with a site that maybe they bootstrapped or they did a little bit here, or they hired somebody for this, we know that the gains that we can get from an SEO perspective are so much smaller than if the site had a really strong foundation. And so once we kind of understand where they are, our first recommendation is always to go get your site shored up with good hosting, a good theme, a good template, a good structure, and then come back, because then SEO will be much more impactful.
I love that. And I think that is such incredible information to share with our audience, because that's the piece that I see is missing often with clients. Because I'll get a lot of people that come to me and they're like, oh, I need SEO. I'm like, well, I can send you to other people. I said, but first we need to get your site ready, because there's no point in you being found if once people get there,
they leave.
Confused. They leave. Yeah. It's too slow. I know I leave a site if it's like, and I try to give everyone benefit of the doubt, but sometimes you go on a site and you're like, oh man, like the hotel sites.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and like they say, it's like less than 3 seconds on the desktop, but it's like less than 1 second. Like if you're on your mobile device, if you're walking down the street and it takes a long time for the site to load, people will leave. So you're absolutely right that SEO can get people to your website. But if your website isn't good or isn't easy to use, if it's slow, if it's not good, it doesn't matter, because traffic for traffic's sake, who cares? Nobody cares about traffic for traffic's sake. We want people to come to your website, get engaged, become a raving fan, and buy from you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So what would you say that were some of the fears and doubts that you had when you were first starting your business, and how did you overcome them?
So many fears. Gosh, I think I wake up with fears every day. Every day it's a chance to overcome them. Well, at first, it's funny because I went into my when I started my business confident, because I had majored in design. I had worked in the industry for 10 years, that I felt really confident in my skills, but from an ignorant perspective, because I was on a team. I was one of a team. I never worked for a small, where I was like a person who wore all the hats. I was the designer. And so I walked in to my business as an entrepreneur thinking, what all those other people did were not really important. It's all about the way the site looks. And so I walked in thinking very confidently in my design skills, which looking back were terrible. if we're being real. But then when things stopped working, because I, at first, and continues now, I really love to work with people that I like, that are doing good, that have good business. And so I was kind of picky in I'm still picky with the clients that we work with. I want to feel good about helping more people to find them. And so in the beginning, I did these designs for these wonderful people who had a great service, and they had given me, the money to help them stand up their business, and it wasn't working. And so for all kinds of reasons, but mainly for lots of reasons, but I felt terrible. And so then I was like, that was when the fear started to sink in, was I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't help these people, and these people are going to give me all that they have, and I'm going to, bankrupt them. So, but get over that was, that fear was driving me to learn about analytics and what it means and what's important and what does Google care about and how does Google work. And so then you can kind of learn all of those things and apply them to the site. And then it's really fun when we can get traffic and we can help them meet their goals.
Do you find that when people come to you, it's important for them to have a validated offer first before sending the traffic? Because I know, like, one of the things that I try to explain to my clients is I can build you a website, which is just a tool. But once you have the tool, just because you build it, they will not come. You need to go out. You need to tell people about it. You need to market your business. You need to make sure people want the thing you're offering. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like at that point, after it's been validated, that would be the step to then expand your reach, doing ads, working on your SEO, working with a specialist like you to drive more traffic because you already know it's validated. Is that all? Would you agree with all that?
1,000%. Like I said, it doesn't matter if we bring traffic to your site, if people leave, like that's not going to, like, traffic for traffic's sake is pointless. And so you really do need to have a valid offer and connect with your people and know what you're doing is going to work. So 1,000%. And I always say that SEO is a layer of your marketing, but it isn't your marketing department. Like, you do need that social aspect. You do need all of the other pieces of having a good business, because SEO is a part of it, but it isn't the whole thing. So 1,000% do I agree with you.
I love how you talk about how it's the piece of it, because that, again, is something that I feel that I see that people come to me and they don't understand that, like, you need all these different layers that make the business work and make the traffic. And yeah, I love that.
Gone are the days where you can just show up on Instagram and then make all of your clients. Like, it's part of it. It's really important, but it's not the whole picture. And nothing is, like, the content marketing, the ads, the social, it's together. It's that holistic view of your marketing that SEO will build that foundation and lift everything higher, but it's really important, but it's not the whole picture.
Love that. What would you say are some of the tools that you love to have your clients have in place to help them with SEO?
I love it. Analytics. Number one, we want them to be on analytics so we can at least measure. It's so important to know your numbers. So we love, we can work with any, SEO works with any platform, but we prefer WordPress. WordPress is a really great, highly customizable, highly crawlable and indexable platform to build a website. So we prefer WordPress. We like Yoast a lot. We also like Rank Math, which are two plugins. They have free and premium versions. Both of them we like. They help with dynamic sitemaps. It's easy to write metadata. We like both of those. And then analytics, of course, is kind of where we like to get started. Now, we do have clients on Shopify and Squarespace, and their sites are well found and well crawled, but our preference is WordPress.
Oh, I love that, especially since I work in WordPress. But that's the thing I've always heard, is that WordPress is more, Google kind of favors WordPress, is what I've always heard.
Yeah. And we have, like I said, we have clients on all platforms and they're all getting found, but WordPress is just open. It's just easier. It's just easier.
Makes it
So
easy. We
yeah,
like easy.
we love easy. Yes.
Let's find ways to keep it more simple. For someone who doesn't know a lot about Google Analytics or maybe feels intimidated by it, do you have any advice for them on like what to do with analytics or just get it set up and let it collect? Or what's your advice there?
Analytics is such a tricky beast because currently Universal Analytics, which is the analytics until July 2023, and that's going to be replaced by a completely new version of analytics called GA4 or Google Analytics 4. But Universal Analytics has over 200, that's like 260 different reports that you can pull for the data for your website. So you can slice and dice anything. And that can be super helpful for some people, but for the majority of us, it's extremely overwhelming. And so the things that I care about, which is because Google cares about them, we call them the metrics that matter. And what we would love for you to get out of Google Analytics is install it, let it collect data. And the things that we look for and that you should look for is that your traffic is increasing month over month and that people are engaging with the site, meaning they're spending more than, honestly, 10 seconds on the site. The average length of time that people spend on a website is 10 seconds. So if you can get people to spend 45 seconds or a minute and a half, then that is telling Google that your site is engaging and that people want to be on it. And in the same vein, the amount of pages or pages per session, that is something that we can get from Google Analytics. And that will tell us, like, is it easy to navigate? Are people binge reading your content? Is this like a Netflix series where they just one after another, they click and they read your content or listen to your podcast? So we love analytics. You should install it. And if you can narrow it down on the main page, they'll tell you traffic. You can compare it with the previous month, the average time per session. We look for anything over 10 seconds and the pages per session, which is anything over 1. If you can get people reading 2 or 3 pages, that's a really positive, very positive thing. And so that's what I would like for people to get out of Google Analytics.
Oh, I love that. I love how you just broke that down because that's great for me. I can't wait to, after this call, go look at my Google Analytics and see if I'm hitting some of those numbers. I love that. Would you say, do you have a WordPress plugin that you prefer for connecting Google Analytics or do you believe more in just putting the code in?
I just put the code in, but I know that there are analytics plugins that work and that are great. I did say there's over 200 reports. We get more than what I had just explained. So I like to go into analytics specifically for each client and pull some of these reports for people. But as a business owner who's just starting out or is completely overwhelmed with analytics, I think the plugins are a really great choice.
Make it easy. I always put Google Site Kit because it's the one Google created. I'm like, well, if Google created, they must like it. That's the one to go with.
I totally agree. And I think that's wonderful for business owners. And even if you just want to check, like, hey, I just wrote a blog post, I put it up. Are people reading it? I think that things like that is traffic increasing? I think that's a really great tool. Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on Google Search Console?
Well, it's overwhelming because there's 1,000 things that you can get out of it, but it is really important. Google Search Console is like the interface that Google has to speak with web owners. So as an example, if your site got penalized for something, or if it got spam attacked, you can get penalties, and the only way that you'll learn this is via the Google Search Console. But I like the console because that's where we can connect and we can force Google to read our sitemap. We can ask Google to crawl pages. So from an SEO perspective, I find it to be very helpful. From a business owner's perspective, I don't know. It's a lot right there. It's a lot there. I can't tell you the last time I looked at Google Search Console for my own website, but I do look at it for my clients' websites.
I know because I set up a lot of analytics and search console for clients, I get a lot of reports that it'll send me, and it'll send me these errors. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. A soft 404. I had one that came through this morning. I'm like, a soft 404? What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, is there a medium weight 404? Like, isn't a 404 just a 404? But it is helpful for those things. But I don't know, for most business owners, I don't think they need to get too involved with it.
Too into the weeds with it. Good, solid advice right there. Keep it simple.
Yes, absolutely.
So I would love to know, what would you say some of the biggest challenges that you've overcome since you first started your business?
Oh, gosh. Well, I can talk about these like from a business perspective, from a family perspective. Like, it's like, I'm Meg. I'm a business owner and a mom and, a wife. There's so much going on. So I think some of the biggest challenges is like setting up personal and business boundaries and, feeling the confidence of saying, wait a minute, this is my space. This is my work day. I'm working on clients, getting boundaries for the people who are in my life to respect that I'm running a business, and that at the beginning, it may not be much, but it's going to be, and just setting those boundaries, I think, was really important because, I was always like, oh, something else came up. It's more important. And so like, oh, let me make you a sandwich, or oh, let me do this. Oh, let me drive you here. And I didn't respect my business enough to give it the space it needed to thrive. So I think at first it was self-respect and belief in myself, belief in the business, and knowing that if I wasn't there to make them a peanut butter sandwich, they were not going to starve. Somebody else would make them a peanut butter sandwich, or they would do it themselves, right?
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out, like open popcorn. And so I think that was the first challenge, was that taking it seriously and giving myself that credit. And then as we've grown, bringing people on and scaling, there's 3 of us who I work with, and then I have a number of contractors that we lean on heavily. But hiring people, and I brought on a partner 3-ish years ago because, there were so many things that I was doing everything okay. But I was not being a good CFO. I was not being a good marketing manager. I wasn't doing good for my own SEO. So there was like all these things that I wasn't doing great at. And so it's scary to hire people. It's scary to hire full-time people. It's scary to bring on a partner. But just kind of doing it and gritting your teeth and closing your eyes and taking the jump. That was kind of the second big scary thing that I had to come over. It's like having belief in yourself, knowing that you can do it, or, having the belief that it's going to all be okay one way or the other. And that's scary.
It is scary, but I love that because it is so important, the self-belief, because if we don't have that, it's going to make business that much harder because we are so talented, and in the online space, we're able to create these just amazing businesses and have this incredible ripple effect in helping others. And so believing in ourselves enough to know that the work we do matters and affects other people and helps them make their dreams a reality is just really incredible. So
it is. And protecting that space to give myself a chance to do it, so I didn't get defeated before I started.
It takes time. I don't feel like people talk about it that much. Like, it is not this like smooth sailing.
No,
it is messy. And there's like ugly crying that happens
all the time. Like, because our online persona is not actual reality. And that's hard to learn, because it's hard to believe that, because you think, oh, well, look at them. Like, I'm comparing myself to them, and we're all in this like messy middle place, because there's no real destination. There's no real like, okay, how many times do you say, well, when I just make this much money, or when I just get here, or when I have this type of client, or heck, if I lose 10 pounds, everything is going to be better. And that you actually never get there. And so learning that and understanding that there is no destination, and gosh, whatever we get to do now, whatever we get to learn in this particular moment is really cool and it's really important. So I think that is, I mean, I feel like there's so much inner work when it comes to running a business that it's, 10% working with your family, 10% getting new clients and skills, and 80% inner work to get yourself the ability to do it.
100%. I agree. So much. Hard. I have been struggling with like getting over my perfectionism. In the last couple of years, I've been working with a mindset coach, Alicia St. Germain. She was on one of the earlier episodes, and that's been huge for me because for a long time I didn't want to get visible because I was too upset and concerned about like, what if it's not perfect? What are people going to think? What are people going to say? And like getting over that hurdle of it's okay to have typos, to miss links, to just show up as me and not stress over it being perfect because people can't relate to that.
Right. And we are not and this is also really hard that I work at all the time. I remind myself all the time is that we are not our accomplishments and our failures. Like we get to do this and it's awesome, but I am not defined by rankings on page 1. It's just like, you're not defined by how beautiful or successful a website is. It's like our being is separate from that, but it's hard. It's hard to make that separation. So yeah, again, it's like 80% internal work to start a business. It's hard. Get a good coach and therapist, and then you're going to be okay.
Solid advice right there.
Wouldn't know what to do without my person.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to know, you talked about scaling. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things you're doing now in scaling your business?
Great question, Laura. And gosh, so we typically work one-on-one with clients. We get highly collaborative. We're in the weeds. We talk to our clients a lot. We really want to understand who they are and how they want to show up online. And SEO is like exercise. You can't just work out once and expect to be in shape. It's an ongoing process. It's very similar to exercise. If you want to get in shape, you got to exercise and eat healthy. And so our main work is long-term, highly collaborative, in the weeds of our clients. And that can scale as we add more people to the team. And I don't love delegating and I don't love managing a team. And so currently we're kind of at max-ish capacity. We're close to the top. And so we are looking and we have a product that I'm hoping to scale that makes SEO, that makes analytics easier to understand. And it's for people who are not quite ready to have to talk to me all the time and they're not quite ready to have me in the weeds of their business. This is what this product is for. And so, my partner and I had to make a conscious decision of like, do we want to add more people and do more of this highly in-depth work? Or do we want to add another service? And so we're keeping our in-depth work and hoping to add this product that sheds the light of SEO to people so that they can understand it a little bit more.
I love that so much because that's like the piece that I feel a lot of my clients are at. Yes. They're not quite ready for the one-on-one long-term commitment. They're ready to just sort of dip their toes in and have a little more understanding.
And, with it, it's an easy to read report that has just it doesn't go into all of the 200 reports. It's kind of high level. This is what people are reading. This is how many new people you're getting. This is how many people you're getting from social. So it's kind of high level but it comes with a lot of support, like office hours and training so that you can start to learn it because, like I said, SEO is similar to exercise. We're your health coach. And with our in-depth clients, we tell you how you need to do this and cut this and do that. And I'll see you at the gym and I'll here to motivate you. But we're not the experts in what you do. And so like we have a client who's a neurosurgeon, and it's like, I can tell him what he should write to appeal to his audience because it's data backed information, but he needs to do the work. He's the one that's going to create the video or create the podcast or write the article, because we're not neurosurgeons. We can just tell you what people are looking for. And so all of that to say, the business owner needs to kind of do the work, and we're here to support you and cheer you on and encourage you and give you lots of cool data, but you need to do it. And so I feel like having a product that makes it easy for people to understand who don't want that high touch, who aren't quite ready for that high touch, this is a really helpful tool, because in the end, it's, you guys need to create the content that you're excellent at anyway.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like an amazing offer, and I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you. Yes, it's called the Insights Report, and it's just the information you need to make the next best business decision.
Oh, I love that. I haven't done much with SEO for my podcast, so I'm glad you just mentioned that, because that kind of triggers my wheels spinning that I probably need to be. Would you say, what are some of the things, as someone with a podcast who I put the show notes, I transcribe all the episodes and put the show notes in, it's in a drop down or a collapsible. What other important things would you say for someone with a podcast for SEO help?
I love it. I have all kinds of tips, because, a lot of our clients don't blog regularly, but they do podcasts or they do videos on YouTube, and the process is the same. Our number one recommendation is to have a unique page on your site for each episode, so that you don't have a page that's like all of your podcast. I mean, you can for a landing page, but we want you to be able to click on an episode and then get the notes. And so we do recommend having a template that doesn't feel too template-ish. So in one thing that we see with clients a lot is they'll have a section that's like what you'll learn, and then they'll have some bullets underneath it from the episode. And we recommend that you make that headline, instead of what you learn, like what you learn about SEO as an example, make it a little bit more specific to that episode, because we want each page to be found by Google. And if you have, 5 seasons of podcast and every page has what you'll learn on it, it's not unique enough. Google doesn't know where to put that in their category of memory. So to make good show notes, to make them a little bit customizable, and then to make the titles, if you just read the title, you would know what the show is about. Oftentimes we get clients with podcasts and the title of the page is like episode 500, Laura chats with Meg. And you're like, well, what does that even mean? Who's Meg and who's Laura? It's like, episodes are great. Episode numbers are fine, but put a conversation about SEO, web SEO and web design. Just make if the user just read the title of the page, they understand what the conversation is about.
I love that. And I think that's like one of the things I've been struggling with the most, is coming up with the title for each episode. And I'm like, what's like the one nugget I can pull from here that will make it really clear what we talk about? And then I also make sure to include the name of who I'm speaking with. And then if they have a separate business name, I put that in there too.
Perfect. Yes. Because you want to get found for the person you're interviewing, as well as the topics that you talk about.
Oh, I love that. Those are great tips. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Absolutely.
What would you say that you're doing that's sort of making waves in the industry? Something that you're doing different than some of the others, where you're making a stand?
Well, that's a really great question. So SEO comes in lots of forms. Most of the time when you hear the word SEO, you get like a negative kind of connotation, like cheesy used car salesman. Everybody has a story of they've hired an SEO, they paid lots of money, and they have no idea what they did. And so the way I want to make waves in the SEO industry is to make it easy to understand and make it simple and very approachable, and to not be that sleazy person who's like, just give me money and I will make it better. Because there's two, and this is a long answer. There's there's kind of two parts to SEO. There's the technical back end. It's like, can Google effectively crawl the site? Can Google get in and do its thing? And I think that's responsible anywhere from 10 to 12% of your total traffic. But the heart of SEO is showing up authentically as who you are, showing people your value through your content, through your words, through your consistency, and really being the person that you say you are. And that's where that authentic person is really the authentic business is really what we are passionate about, is helping people understand the value that you bring, helping you answer the questions that you may not even know your people are asking, but giving you that data to say, hey, there's a space for you, show up and shine, and you're going to attract your people. And maybe you don't get 1 million hits a month, but the 1,000 hits a month that you get are people that really resonate with you. And that's the value of SEO. And that's the type of SEO that we like to do versus finding technical loopholes that may work for 6 months. And then in 6 months later, they don't work anymore.
That's so good. I love that explanation and really breaking that down into those different pieces of it. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure. I hope that wasn't too much.
No, I thought that was great. I find when I talk to clients about SEO, they're just not necessarily really understanding like what it is. And they're like, I want to be number one on Google and I need to change, I want to switch my website and not lose my rankings. And I know I had a client that I said to, that's not possible for us to make changes and it not to change your rankings. And that is what it is. And then I also have found that sometimes clients are like, well, why am I showing it? How do I explain this? I have a story about my husband. We'll do that one. My husband has his business and I built his website, and he has a like affiliate link for a cover. He does boat canvas and upholstery.
Wow.
And so he has an affiliate link for another business who they order from, and they'll have the pre-made the ones that don't need to be the custom covers. And so he's like, oh, we need to add this to the website now that I'm affiliate. I'm like, okay. He's like, okay, so you added it. Now I'm going to show up number one in Google. When someone searches for that company, it's going to show my website. I'm like, honey, that's not really how it works.
Yeah. I wish it would, but no, it doesn't work like that. That's when you have to really build that expertise, the authority, and the trust so that you can show up on page one for that.
So what I told him is I need words to go with it, and we need to be creating blog posts. And like when he has his jobs, we need to create, highlight those jobs in either blog posts or projects, and just really explain like what happened on the project, what the problem was, what your solution was, and just really create that conversation.
Exactly right.
That's exactly
right. Show your value, and you have a lot of it. So show your value. And then people will respond. And when people respond, Google will respond. And the flywheel starts.
Yep. Love that.
Yeah.
Well, Meg, we are getting close to our time today. I do have one final question that I ask everyone who comes on the show. What is one piece of advice you would give to someone when they're first starting out in their business that would help them be bolder, be louder, and make waves?
Mm-hmm. Show up as you, because you are enough and your people are out there. So don't pretend to be anybody else. Don't look at all these other people and get intimidated. Just show up as you consistently, and you've won.
I love that so much and think that's a great place for us to wrap things up. Meg, can you tell everyone where they can come hang out with you, find you online, and spend more time with you?
Absolutely. I want more friends. Come on over. My website is clappingdogmedia.com. And I hang out on Instagram at clappingdogmedia. I go in spurts with Instagram, to be honest, but there's lots of good stuff there.
Wonderful. I will link all that up in the show notes. Meg, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you so much, Laura. And thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the show notes at lauracomark.com/podcast. And if you're ready to grow and scale your business and your current website is outdated and doesn't reflect the magic you bring and the results you get for your clients, go to lauracomark.com to find out how I can help bring your vision to life. That's laurakomark.com. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye now.